Hi, friends, and welcome back to Journey to a Joyful Life. Here in Pennsylvania, we're in this magical in between time of year. It's technically still winter, but suddenly, and sometimes quietly, signs of spring are beginning to show themselves. The snowdrops are popping up through the cold ground, and they're beginning to be those first little warriors of the spring season. The air feels just a little bit softer. And if you pay attention, you can almost sense the earth taking a deeper breath. And it's funny because I've been thinking about how much our lives mirror this moment. How joy often shows up not in full bloom of spring, but in these subtle transitions, the tiny shifts, the little beginnings, the quiet reminders that change is always happening, even when it feels far away. So, today, on this beautiful warm day in Pennsylvania, I wanted to talk about finding joy in the change of seasons, in nature, and also in ourselves, and why noticing this transition can bring you so much peace, so much hope, and so much groundedness. So let's start about talking how the first signs of spring can really be a joy invitation. The snowdrops that are starting to pop up in my front yard are such a great symbol of resilience and hope. Even though it's winter, these strong, resilient little flowers are popping up and showing us that spring is on the way. They bloom before the world feels ready. And it's a reminder that joy doesn't wait for perfect conditions. There's all kinds of other flowers that are starting to push through the once frozen soil. These are great symbols of small things, of those micro joys, those little things that you can pay attention to that bring you some moments of happiness. They're a great symbol of early signs of growth in yourself. And they're a great way of reminding us that hope often arrives quietly. Think about what small signs of change are starting to appear in your own life right now. As human beings, we are seasonal creatures. We go through times internally that shift. For example, during the winter, many of us are in a season of rest, a season of reflection, of focusing inward. But then when spring comes along, we shift into a season of renewal. We start doing spring cleaning. We start spending more time outside again. We feel energy starting to return. And new ideas, begin to take shape for us. Joy often arrives when we stop trying to force ourselves to be in a season that's different from what is. When we can really just be present to what's happening both in nature but also inside of ourselves, this is when real joy emerges with that quiet acceptance of the season that you're in. So you can ask yourself questions. You can inquire within, am I in an inner winter right now? Or am I in more of an inner spring? Am I more in the stage of reflection and quiet and kind of preparation and rest? Or am I in a stage of new beginnings, new growth? And what new beginnings are emerging in my life? The main point here is that joy is a transition and not an ultimate destination where you arrive and just stay permanently. Joy often lives in anticipation of what's to come, looking forward to something, the almost of something, the early signs, or the tiny changes that let us know that we're making progress and we're moving forward. We often wait for everything to bloom to allow ourselves to be happy, and it doesn't have to be that way. We have the choice to find these ways of anticipatory joy, these ways of recognizing progress, to feel happiness and joy right now. The moment you feel ready is often long after your growth actually has started. So you can choose to enjoy the journey. You can also look at nature as a mirror for self-compassion. Here's what I mean. Nature never rushes. The snowdrops in my front yard aren't apologizing for blooming too soon and not recognizing that we're technically still in winter. The tulips don't compare themselves to the daffodils. You can use this as a metaphor to grow and develop at your own pace, at what makes sense for you, your circumstances, and your life right now. You don't have to force your joy. It will emerge when the conditions inside yourself are ready. Allow that to be true. Allow yourself to soften your expectations of yourself. Now is a great time to go out into nature, to go outside and practice mindfulness. Take a walk this week and look for signs of the transition that's happening. Look for those little green stalks that are starting to push up from the ground. Look at the tiny buds on some of the trees that are starting to make themselves known. Just take a walk and look around and see if you can find some of those signs of the transition that's happening in nature. Think about all of your senses. Engage your sense of smell, the smell of the earth beginning to thaw, the sound of all the birds starting to return from their winter warm resting places, the feeling on your skin of the air, of the breeze, the sight of those little buds forming on the trees. Turn the outdoors into a place that is your living joy journal. So I wanted to take a minute and share just a reflection from today. Over my lunch break, I took the opportunity to just sit outside, and I didn't turn on any music, and I didn't look at my phone. I just sat outside and let the warm sun hit my face and let myself just be present to this transition into spring. And I don't know if I realized how much I was sort of internally holding my breath, but this moment today felt like I could finally exhale and be present. And it was a good reminder. I don't let myself have those moments of silence very often. I love learning and I love growing, and so I'm usually reading or listening to a podcast or watching a documentary, or there's always this external stimulation. And today I just decided to let nature be enough. I really benefited from that. So my recommendation for you this week is to spend some time outside without your phone, without music or TV or distraction or a book, and just let nature be enough. So, what's this almost spring season teaching me? Joy doesn't arrive fully formed. It doesn't always look like sunshine and blooming flowers. Sometimes joy is the smallest snowdrop. Small, early, brave, and quietly saying, I'm still here and I'm still growing. So if this message spoke to you today, please consider giving this video a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel if this is content that you are enjoying or benefiting from. And share this with someone who might need a similar reminder that hope grows in tiny ways. And tell me in the comments, what are early signs of joy emerging in your life right now? Until next time, my friends, may you find joy in whatever season you're in.